Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Ryan Weiss Show. I'm your host, Ryan Weiss. Thanks for tuning back into my channel. Today, I am presenting another episode in a series that I'm producing called Lessons for My Kids, where I am producing lessons that I think my kids must learn by the time that they turn 18. And today is lesson number 8. I'm calling it Read and Other Ways to Nourish Your Mind. This is a topic that is really near and dear to me. It's something that I really sincerely care about. There's not a lot of videos I'm producing in these series that I don't care about, but this one in particular I think is very important. The point in this video that I'm trying to make is that it's very important to be selective of your mental influences and selective of the information and entertainment that you consume. I want to suggest a couple different ideas to you. The first is that you should consider the media that you consume the same way that you would consider friends in a friend group that you might be a part of. I think most people have heard the saying, you are who you continually associate with, or you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most amount of time with. And I don't think most people dispute the fact that your friends have a tremendous influence on you. And that's one of the reasons why you should be very careful about who you select to be your friend. I could probably produce a whole nother video on that topic. But what's interesting to me is how some people will be very careful with the friends that they have and with the relationships that they choose to enter into. And yet they'll be so careless about the media that they consume, the books that they read, the things that they listen to. And I would suggest to you that if you want to live an excellent life, if you want to pursue the good life, if you want to choose a life of virtue rather than vice, if you want to choose a life of success, of wealth, of happiness, of fulfilling relationships, happy marriages, productivity, then you need to choose to consume media that supports those goals. And you need to be cautious of unconsciously selecting your media or selecting media that does not support those goals. So media that supports the life that you want to live. I want to share one other idea on this concept with you. This is from a book that I love called The Compound Effect. This is probably my favorite book of all time. I've read this book, 10 times. I first read it when I was 14 years old and it changed my life. Originally, my grandfather, Ray Dumais, gave me a copy. And maybe I was 15, but he gave me $20 to read the book. And I actually still have the same book and the same $20 bill. I never spent the $20 because what I realized is what I was learning from this book was way more valuable than $20. He has a whole section on influences. And I want to read you this brief section here. This is in the chapter, let me see which chapter this is in, just so you can reference it. This is in chapter 5 called Influences. This is titled, Don't Drink Dirty Water. You get in life what you create. Expectation drives the creative process. What do you expect? You expect whatever it is you're thinking about. Your thought process, the conversation in your head, is at the base of the results that you create in life. So the question is, what are you thinking about? What is influencing and directing your thoughts? The answer, whatever you're allowing yourself to hear and see. I'm just going to read that again because I think that's important. What is influencing and directing your thoughts? The answer is whatever you're allowing yourself to hear and see. This is the input that you are feeding your brain, period. See figure 12. Your mind is like an empty glass. It will hold anything you put into it. You put in sensational news, salacious headlines, talk show rants, and you're pouring dirty water into your glass. If you've got dark, dismal, worrisome water in your glass, everything you create will be filtered through that muddy mess because that's what you'll be thinking about. Garbage in, garbage out. All that drive time radio yak about murders, conspiracy, deaths, economy, and political battles drives your thinking process, which drives your expectations, which drives your creative output. That is bad news. But just like a dirty glass, if you flush it with clean, clear water under the faucet long enough, eventually you'll end up with a glass of pure, clear water. What is that clear water? and this is an interesting question, right? What is the positive media that we can consume instead of the negative media? The answer is positive, inspirational, and supportive input and ideas. Stories of aspiration, people who, despite challenges, are overcoming obstacles and achieving great things. Strategies of success, prosperity, health, love, and joy. Ideas to create more abundance, to grow, expand, and become more. He goes on to say that's why he does Darren Daily, which is a little podcast that he produces every day. But yeah, and then he's got this little visual here. Here you can see this. This is your mind. Are you filling it with dirty, nasty water? And if so, you might need to flush it clear and keep flushing it and replenishing it with nice clear water until you have a nice clean cup of water. Great, great book. You want to read, start with The Compound Effect. Such an excellent book. So be very careful with what you choose. Are you watching TV? And if you're watching TV day to day, what are you watching? Are you watching, I'm trying to think of a positive, inspirational show. You know, there's just not a lot of TV that is positive and inspirational. Most of the time, TV is, you know, reality TV shows and dramatic stuff, Jersey Shore, The Kardashians, The Bachelorette, and there's not necessarily a lot of inspiration and motivation to be derived from those shows. Now, while those shows are playing, there are plenty of people producing podcasts, writing books, speaking sermons that talk about positive, inspirational, motivational content. And you have a choice about what kind of media you consume and what kind of ideas that you feed into your mind. And it's very important to understand that the media that you consume will shape the way that you're thinking, and the way that you're thinking will shape the action that you take. Therefore, the media you consume will determine the action that you take in your life. So if you want to have more, if you want to become more, you have to listen and learn from people who are producing media, talking about how to become and be more, and supporting you in that goal. So be very careful. I encourage you to read. Reading is one of the best ways to find positive, inspirational information. Most of the time, if people do something incredible in their life, they want to share it. They want to talk about it. And oftentimes they write books discussing it. And these books are available to you. One of the best places to hang out is the library. I encourage you to hang out at the library instead of the bar. And read nonfiction, but also don't be afraid of fiction. You know, I like using fiction as sort of a way of building a reading habit. Now, you don't want to exclusively read fiction, right? Because then that can sort of become like TV, right? I think reading fiction is better than watching TV, right? But I use reading fiction to help me build the habit of reading. I also use it as a tool to reward myself for reading nonfiction. So I'll make deals with myself. You know, okay, read 10 pages of this nonfiction book. It's kind of like eating celery, and then I can read a little bit of fiction, which is kind of, maybe a little bit more like candy. And I encourage you to read every day. Read every day, even if it's just for 10 minutes. Build the habit. Become a reader, and that will be a way that you can change and improve your life, and learn more, become more, and have all the things that you want in life, and just become a better educated and a better well-rounded person. I'd like to end this show with talking about my top 7 book recommendations. So these are both fiction and nonfiction, but if you're looking for a place to get started with reading, I recommend considering these 7 books. So number 1, The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. Of course, we talked a little bit about that. Number 2, The Success Principles by Jack Canfield are excellent. Number 3, Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand, as well as any other books by Ayn Rand are really excellent. Atlas Shrugged was part of the motivating reason for naming my son. Number 4, The Richest Man in Babylon by George Clason. Excellent book. That book made me rich. Number 5, Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. Another great book about understanding the difference between assets and liabilities. Number 6, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. And number 7, Atomic Habits by James Clear. Any of these 7 books would be an excellent place to start. So I hope you found value from this video. My lesson for my kids in this video is be very careful of the media that you're allowing to influence you. And It's an encouragement for my kids as well as for everyone to read. Reading is excellent. Reading will significantly improve your life. So please consider reading, and please be careful about the media sources that you are allowing to influence you. All right. Thanks very much. This has been Ryan Weiss, Lessons for My Kids, episode 7. And I will talk to you soon.